Hello, here we are. Welcome to Echoes of Uncertainty Conversations with Lost Millennials and everybody else. This is episode 2, long awaited, long overdue. If you haven't listened to episode 1, it's short, it's sweet, it's about family, and I am your host, Ubi. So let's get into it. So this episode was delayed. Let's talk about it. I was experiencing extreme imposter syndrome the week I set out to record episode 2. And to the point where I felt depressed. I just was like, I should not be putting my voice out on the internet. And then I had a few of you listeners reach out to me and be like, hey, where's episode 2? And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I had no faith in myself. And I think imposter syndrome is so interesting because I shared that with quite a few of my female friends. And they're like, oh, yeah, imposter syndrome, totally get it. Like, take all the time you need. But also, it's okay to put your voice out there. And then I was at a dinner party the other night, and one of the spouses asked about somehow imposter syndrome came up in conversation, and he wasn't familiar with that term. And it really made me think, is imposter syndrome more dominantly a female felt emotion or feeling or trait? I guess I don't even know syndrome. And so I don't know. What do you think? Is imposter syndrome something that primarily affects women? Is it primarily felt as something related to career? I have definitely felt it throughout my career, and while I've been on sabbatical, really analyzing what am I doing with my life, the imposter syndrome has just been so real. Fortunately, today I was able to turn the volume down, or the feeling evaporated, as feelings tend to do after a good night's rest, and look at this podcast and think, one, I don't need to record 30-minute episodes or have this crazy agenda of what I'm going to do. I just am going to get on here and talk to you, my audience. So here I am talking about imposter syndrome. Uh, and so I would love to hear from you all of if you experience imposter syndrome, if you have no idea what it is. A quick Google search here tells me that imposter syndrome is a behavioral health phenomenon that causes people to doubt their skills, intellect, or accomplishments when they have objective evidence of their success. I mean, could it be any more clear? Oh man. So yeah, but here we are. To circle back on a couple things from episode 1. So I am your host, Ubi, and I wanted to talk about a little bit of who I am. And so I did ask an AI to analyze a couple documents for me, and it described me as a resilient, goal-driven individual with a rich blend of interests. And I'm going to pause there because I do have a rich blend of interests. Depending on the day or on the week, I might have a completely different interest or hobby I'm pursuing. Uh, and I feel like I might be respected for that. And at the same time, I think folks in my life ask, how do I have so much time for it? And I think this all goes back to and or relates to finding one's passion or finding one's identity, because a part of feeling loss is really questioning that identity. And so as I speak with people in my life and people I come in contact with, identity, is that a title in which you give yourself, like, I am a Capricorn foodie who owns a dog? Or is that I am a multifaceted intellectual being with a strong interest in reading and social issues. Where does your identity come from? Is it your titles or is it those feelings? And so I'm curious, as you're listening to me speak about this, like what is resonating with you, or what feels good, or I guess what is your identity? And if you are very strong in your identity, do you experience imposter syndrome? I'm so curious. So curious. And then along those lines, uh, this podcast is called Echoes of Uncertainty. I think I definitely echo my uncertainty and then feeling lost. And I know feeling lost doesn't resonate with everyone. And so, those of you who identify as not being lost, how did you find found? And what does finding found look like? And it makes me curious, is finding found something that is nurtured, or is finding found something that is cultivated? And is like, does it ebb and flow? Are there seasons of your life where you're very secure in your identity and what you're doing, that you're found? And then are there seasons where you are lost and just wondering, what is next? Wondering what is next. I wonder. And so, with that, how am I going to circle this back? I also received feedback from episode one to kind of jump into family a little bit more. And I loved the feedback around family, and especially the family of one. Uh, I keep thinking, like, I want to make shirts that say family of one, or finding I'm so lost, I'm trying to find found, or find found. I don't know. Okay. I am murmuring to myself at this point. But going back to family, the family of one is super important to me. And I also realize that I totally didn't touch on blended families and friend families, as I come from a blended family and I have a very strong friend group, friend family that I know I can wholly depend on. Friends, I think, intersect family, and that's really important. I'm hoping to have a friend of mine on who is really good at making adult friends. She is doing actually great work in people in their 30s, finding friends and creating those communities. And I think maybe family comes down to community, whether you're a family of one or a family of a ton. How does family reflect community, and how do you commune with them? And how does that also play into your identity? And does that help you feel more found versus being lost? So many questions, so little answers. And so, with that said, I am going to attempt to be back and recording on a more regular cadence. We will see. I also think that these short little 10-minute shorts, where I either question everything or present thoughts on nothing, might be the best format for my Echoes of Uncertainty. I also would just love to hear back from you, the listener, on your thoughts on some of my existential questions. Uh, yeah. And, oh, okay, actually, one last thought as I look at my notes. Many years ago, I was in the Colorado Rocky Mountains for a wedding, and the officiant of the wedding was talking about different words for love. Like, you have a friend love, you have a family love, you have a romantic love. And going back to the conversations on family, why do we only have one word for family? Or is friend like another word of family for the English language? Like, does the English language uh, ab- abbreviate our understanding, or just not give us all the different types of family that may exist? And so I'm curious, if you are bilingual, trilingual, manylingual, do you know of other words for family that touch upon the types of family that I have talked about today? and also talked about in episode one. And do we have a failing in English around the word family, or just the types of words we could use to describe family, I guess is a better way of putting it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's all I got today. Just a little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit more about family. I guess I can speak a little bit more about, I would love to hear feedback from you all. And yeah. I think blended families are quite honestly going to be the future, and we will see more and more blending of the family friend dynamic, as we'll see more of the family friend dynamic as millennials continue to age and we see what Gen Z and Gen Alpha are doing with their family structures. And so, if you like what you're hearing, share it. If you don't like what you're hearing, share it. Please hit subscribe and stay tuned for next week's episode, or in 2 weeks from now, Friday episode, where I'm going to talk about friends, Friendsgiving, and communing around the Thanksgiving holiday. My name again is Ubi. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Echoes of Uncertainty. I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.